Good afternoon, all. CamelbackTrading.org coming to you this Friday afternoon, April 26th. We are looking at window traders market profile of the ES and the NQ. Got a lot to get to. We're going to do the breakdown of all the charts of our three indices. Now, a very good week for the bulls, right? We were down $15.69 in SPY last week. Well, we took back over $13 of it. Couple of things to look at. Inside week for ES, NQ, and Righty. That should set up for something very nice next week. Textbook P-shapes for short covering in ES, NQ, and Righty today. And by textbook, I mean there were no single prints. There's so much emotional trading that sometimes you get a P or a B shape, but it's a double distribution or triple distribution day. I want to generally not triple, but double. So today was a textbook. ES and NQ hold their gaps. So that's 5 out of 19 gaps to the upside that have held, 26.3% of the time. We got both overnights, 22.2% of the time in ES. Today was a beautiful example of a look below and fail the overnight in ES and NQ. Literally looked below them and came up, which means your opposite end of the destination was the overnight high. Had a good day. Saw the market well. Before I get into anything real quick, that special I'm running ends on Wednesday, May 1st. I know a lot of people watch this video since it's a recap. So maybe some people haven't heard this. So you can email me, paul@camelbacktrading.org. $80 for a quarter or $225 for the year up until May 1st. After that, things are going to change in both on website pricing and for anything else I do. Okay? So come and join us. We've had a bunch of people take advantage of that. So hopefully others will also. So let's get to what happened today. We gapped higher. The overnight was very long. You had good earnings from Google and Microsoft, whatever the PCE was. Unlike GDP yesterday, market liked it because it didn't do much, and we gapped higher, never saw the opening. Basically, after we got back above it, we had good distance in A and B. Then the market started getting two-sided trade and tired. We never went trend. Well, we did for a tick, actually, at one point. NQ attempted to go trend at least twice, but failed. I traded only NQ today except pre-market. I took a long in ES, thinking we would front run the overnight low. Now, I made a couple of points on it. Actually, I made, I think, 3 points on it before the opening even. And then we opened and did get the overnight low. But like I said, looked below and failed, never got into the gap. The gap is still about 14 handles, so it's a decent gap. NQ's gap is about 60 somewhat points. After that, now initially, and I tell the room this, we got the overnight low, so that kind of gets my radar up on shorts. However, because we had a gap, because we had higher value, because the indices were very strong, and more importantly, because it looked like we had to look below and fail, I'm like, that's not going to be the case today. Now, I did short NQ the first time when it pushed up against the 144 and did okay. After that, it was long city early in the day. Okay? I was long in 8 period against, remember, we came out of balance today in ES and NQ on the upside. So as soon as we started getting above the balance, taking longs on any kind of pullbacks against the balance high and the ebb and flow. I did that in I did that in A and NQ after that first short. I did it in B. I did it in C. I did it in D against single prints in NQ, which finally got filled, though. I did it in G. So I was long A through G in NQ on any kind of pullbacks. I did take a short in H period because it didn't look like they could have any energy to hold trend and it looked like they had gotten the destinations they wanted. However, I thought maybe NQ would try to get acceptance into the upper distribution from the 17th. But even if they did, I thought fading it was okay to go back and back test it. And it worked. I also did it in I period. on a short, and then I longed I period looking for an afternoon pullback. Now, late in the day, we do not have an afternoon pullback because M period took out K's low for both of us. So we go out with a 9-wide POC. Now, I am using B as that lowest accepted price, although not holding trend does not make it that enticing going forward. But it's just a reference point for NQ, NES. That was my last trade of the day, by the way. So before we get to the destinations, well, let's do the destinations. And I want to show you a big line in the sand here for ES and even NQ before we get to the charts. So for the upside in SPY, we're 9 wide at 508.79, and then today's high is a weekly high at 509.88. Downside, 507.65 is B's low for my lowest accepted price, and today's low of 505.70 and filling the gap at 504.27, $1.43. In NQ, I'm sorry, NQ. I'm shot by the end of the week. In ES, upside is 35.25, 9 wide, and then 46.50 is our weekly high, and then filling the first set of single prints at 53.75. The downside is the lowest accepted price at 24, and today's low of 04.50 and filling the gap at 90.75. Now, one thing we didn't do, Monday will be 2 weeks from that quadruple distribution day down from the 15th. All we have done in these 2 weeks is get above the lowest distribution in ES. NQ's not even there. So even though it's a really good job by the bulls, this is just short covering, and there's still a lot more to do. And you have a lot coming out next week with the Fed and then non-farm payroll and Apple earnings. So 27, and I'm going to show you why. 27 is April 15th's upper end of the lowest distribution. We finally got out of it today, but we never got into the second distribution. So I think it's important for bulls, this whole area here, meaning 27, which is the upper end of the lower distribution from the 15th, half back, which is 24. Lowest accepted price half back is 25.50. Lowest accepted price is 24 and include value 28.75. So between 29 and 24, the bulls better defend that. Why? For a couple of reasons, like I told the room. If they can't defend this, you're going to have at least overlapping lower value, if not lower. You're back in the lower distribution from the 15th, and then you have a chance to take out today's high, today's low, which will put you right back into balance, even if you don't fill the gap. So it's a pretty important level, I think, for bulls to hold. For bears to hold, certainly they'd like to hold this set of single prints, because otherwise then the bulls would be in the second distribution from the 15th. Very important, okay? Now let's get to the charts. Since I did, I think I gave all the destinations. All right. So let's start with our lovely IWM. IWM, I think, had 10 minutes of all three time frames being up. Being a little facetious, but not much. Remember? They were up for, I believe, a day or two. And then all of a sudden, the bottom fell out again. They're in balance. How big is the balance? Well, we have 2 more trading days left in April. If our low is in for April, I would call it, trying to think if I'd call it a 3 or 4 month balance. What is that low? 187.53, 190. I'd probably give it till January's low. So I'd call it a 4 month balance. But we're in balance for sure. The weekly is down to balance because we came in an inside week. It slowed the trend down, but it's still one time frame and down for 4 weeks. It does not stop with an inside week. But it's an inside week. Let's see how we come out of it. So down to balance on the weekly. And the daily is balance. They never took out Tuesday's high. So they are in, basically, I would call it 4 or 5 day balance. So the monthly is balanced, the weekly is down to balance, the daily is balanced. That's what IWM usually stays in for so long, right? Let's go to NQ and triple Qs. We're balanced on the monthly. How big is the balance? Well, with 2 days to go, I'd probably call it a 3-month balance. 417.81. Wait a second. 417.81. 413. I'm just looking to see. Yeah, this month's low. So this month's low would be the balance low. So I would use a 3-month balance unless we really get a bigger move to the downside on Monday and Tuesday. But we're balanced. Weekly came out of balance last week down and then came back down to balance because of the inside week. Okay? So does the market go from balance down, balance back to down? Or I should say balance bear, or do we go the opposite? Now, I would not call it bull if we took out this week's high. It would have to be taking out the all-time high. I would encompass this whole thing as upper balance. Okay? So, pretty much a double bottom on the weekly here. So, very important. So, the monthly is balanced. The weekly is down to balance. The daily is up. We came out of a 6-day balance to the upside. Gap is my main focus. Touch to 20. Now, let's go to the S&P. Monthly is in balance. Again, I'm not sure. Is it going to be a 2-month balance or a 3-month balance? Not sure yet. Not sure what I would call it by the end of this month. Okay? But for now, it's just balance, plain and simple. The weekly, same thing. Down to balance. We're still one time framing down for 4 weeks, but an inside week. So we're getting some really good setups, hopefully, for next week. We've had decent ranges. Our volume has been horrible. Horrible. And the daily is up, with the gap being my main focus. We got right up to the 20, and the 50 is right above that. So the bulls made a first step going up on the daily. However, unless they really take back that 15th quadruple distribution day down, this could all be just a short covering rally from yesterday's massive rally to fill a big gap to today's gap higher, right? Sometimes the market has to rally to break more, right? Big time saying of James Dalton, right? Is that the case here? Are we not going to take... Here's the 15th. This is the day we've been talking about. Is this day so much of a factor that we can't take it back? And we are just getting some massive short covering from yesterday afternoon to today. And then once the Fed comes out, non-farm payroll, whatever, the market rolls over again. It remains to be seen. So I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. I'll give the bulls a very nice pat on the back for what they did yesterday afternoon and today. But it remains to be seen how much more we get to the upside. I hope you had a great week trading. Rest up. Enjoy your weekend. Thank you for liking and subscribing to this channel. And we'll speak prior to the opening on Monday.